Hi there. I'm John Crotts from King Law, board certified specialist in elder law, and it is National Elder Law Month. And as part of that, wanted to do a video for you on planning for long-term care. So we will get started. So planning for long-term care um, is something that every American should be planning for, right? As we get older, the likelihood increases that at some point we may need uh, some level of long-term care, whether that's in home or in a facility. Uh, why do we plan? Um, Today we're going to talk about the why behind elder law planning and long-term care planning. We're going to talk about understanding elder law, the long-term care facts, understanding Medicaid, big mistakes in Medicaid planning, and the cost of planning versus not planning. But first, what is long-term care? We plan to protect your family from the cost of long-term care, to create a smooth process for your family to follow through with minimal costs after you pass away, to avoid court proceedings in probate court, to protect your children's inheritances from poor spending habits and creditors, and to appoint trusted people to make financial and healthcare decisions when you can. Elder law is estate and care planning that focuses primarily on seniors, and it encompasses many different practice areas, including Medicaid, VA, guardianships, Social Security, Medicaid, and even Medicaid appeals. With regard to Medicaid planning, whether in a crisis or proactive approach, the goal, of course, is to preserve assets. The stages of Medicaid planning: there's the proactive stage, which involves preparing for future long term care costs in advance of the need. Uh, there's the option to do nothing. And of course, that comes with consequences, right? Um, And then there is crisis planning, where one is seeking immediate Medicaid eligibility to pay for long term care. Uh, we have more options when it comes to proactive planning. Those are the more ideal situations. You've got a longer term time horizon, and we're able to do more to protect assets. Um, in a crisis, not so much. We are scrambling to try to um, protect assets and get things adjusted in a fashion to allow for both immediate eligibility for Medicaid and a hedge against Medicaid recovery upon the death of the Medicaid recipient. So I'm going to give some examples now of the differences between the proactive and the crisis plans. Uh, in this case, we've got Susan, who's 63 years of age. She's healthy, currently making plans to address long-term care. She has $200,000 in available assets. An elder law attorney could help her potentially reposition her assets and allow her to qualify for Medicaid benefits in 5 years. Susan assets would be protected from Medicaid if we do proper planning. The 5 years, of course, being related to the 5-year look back rule, in which provides that if you give anything away or transfer anything away without getting fair market value in return within 5 years of applying for Medicaid, then that gift or that transfer is subject to a transfer penalty, which results in a delay in eligibility. Um, in Susan's case, if she needs Medicaid sooner than the 5 years, then the plan can be revised to try to allow for eligibility sooner, and and the plan gets adjusted. Crisis planning. John and Mary have been married for 50 years. John is 82 and Mary is 77, and they have $350,000 worth of countable assets. That means assets that would otherwise have to be spent down to below that $2,000 threshold before either of them is eligible for Medicaid. Um, there's actually some spousal protections that allow the healthy spouse at home to maintain more, but the $350,000 of assets would have to be factored in before either of them could be eligible for Medicaid. John unexpectedly had a stroke and was hospitalized for a week before being transferred to a nursing home. It is highly unlikely that John will return home. They have worked their entire lives and are concerned about protecting assets for their children after they both die. Another law attorney can walk John and Mary through the complex Medicaid process, but options are limited in a crisis, and not all of their assets will be protected. So we would likely discuss um, some spin down techniques, some more sophisticated spin down techniques. Getting a prepaid burial funeral policy for each if they've not already done so. Um, Making any exempt renovations to their home improvements, and anything related to maintenance and upkeep of the home would be legitimate spin down techniques. And we may even explore the use of something known as a Medicaid compliant annuity that could help save some of the money that would otherwise have to be spent down and paid directly to the facility for the care of the institutionalized spouse, in this case, John. So here are some facts regarding long-term care costs. In North Carolina, it obviously varies depending on what county you're in, what city you're in, but expect to pay currently $8,000 to $10,000 per month for skilled nursing home care. Uh, you may experience roughly half of that cost for assisted living, but private pay full skilled nursing home care around $8,000 to $10,000 per month. So that could be $100,000 to $120,000 per year or more. How long would your savings last if you're spending at that rate? If you're burning through your nest egg at the tune of $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 or more per month, how quickly are you going to run out of money? Um, Basically, there's the three um, options when it comes to paying for long-term care expense. You can pay privately out of your pocket until you run out of money. If you have long-term care insurance, then you can rely on your policy for whatever benefits are provided under that policy. But if you've not already applied for and began paying long-term care policy premiums, uh, it may be too late if you're already too sick and have a pre-existing condition, or once you reach a certain age, it may be that it's either unaffordable or you are uninsurable. So plan ahead, and long-term care insurance can be a good tool, but you need to try to do that earlier while you're healthy if you want a reasonable rate. Public benefits, the VA to a certain extent can provide some long-term care coverage. Medicare, of course, is not a long-term, it's a short-term care solution, so it's not going to provide you with long-term care benefits. But primarily, Medicaid is the tool that we're going to look to for paying for benefits um, if you're unable to do so out of pocket or through a long-term care insurance policy. Medicaid is a need-based and means-tested government program that's administered jointly by the federal and state governments that provides healthcare assistance. Medicaid eligibility rules: there are resource assessment and transfer of asset penalty considerations. Applicants allowed to keep $2,000 in most states. Spouses may keep more. General rule is everything counts is in terms of the Medicaid eligibility, um, for assets that would be factored into your Medicaid eligibility. Everything counts except for the home and the vehicle. Uh, Transfer of asset penalty. The federal law penalizes any transfer for less than fair market value within 5 years preceding the application. So again, you can't just give something away and expect to not suffer some consequence for that. If you're applying for Medicaid within 5 years of that transfer, Medicaid will not pay for services if transfers have been made. So let's play some truth or myth. I can give away $19,000 per year without a Medicaid penalty. That is a myth. The figure is actually the annual federal gift tax exclusions, and is irrelevant for Medicaid eligibility purposes. So tax professionals or other publications may encourage you to make these annual gifts. for your estate planning, and there can be some benefits, especially for wealthy individuals, to do some gifting as part of their planning. But for Medicaid planning purposes, those gifts can have a huge impact on eligibility when that time comes. So don't expect that you can give away $19,000 or any other amount, um, any other substantial amount. Minimal amounts, small birthday money, and things like that are not going to be judged too harshly. But you definitely need to be careful making gifts, and don't confuse the annual gift exemption for gift tax purposes with Medicaid's very strict rules on no gifts, no transfers without a penalty period. Truth or myth? There is only a small chance I will end up in a nursing home. Uh, Most people believe that too. Actually, I mean, we all feel invincible until we're not. But more than 70% of people age 65 or older will stay in a nursing home at some point in their life. That's what the data shows. So even if you've got a good support system, maybe even someone in your family has worked in healthcare and you feel you're going to be able to stay at home, you've got to be open to the possibility that you just may not be able to get the level of care that you need at home. You may end up in a long-term care facility at some point in the future. Truth or myth? Medicaid can take my house when I pass away. That is actually true. While it does not actually take your house, Medicaid is required to recover against the estates of Medicaid recipients. So what happens is when you die, anything that's still owned in your individual name that goes into your estate before your heirs would inherit that, or the beneficiaries of your will, creditors have to be uh, paid, and Medicaid is a creditor against your estate and can force the sale of any assets to reimburse them for the cost they paid during your lifetime. That's where having an elder law professional in your corner is going to be helpful to do some careful planning to protect the home through either irrevocable trusts, Ladybird, enhanced life estate deeds, and other sophisticated planning tools to try to protect those assets so that those assets are not in your estate when you die, and you can protect those assets for your family. So some big mistakes in Medicaid planning. Leaving your house in your name is a big mistake in Medicaid planning. So we just talked a little bit about that, but again, you can't just transfer it. You just can't deed it over to somebody that's going to have an adverse consequence. So you need to talk to an elder law attorney to ensure that that property is protected. But other mistakes, thinking it's too late to plan, it's never too late. There's always things that we can do, but it does get more limited as time goes on if you're either already in a nursing home or approaching the point where you are likely to go into a nursing home. Be as proactive as possible. Not taking care of a healthy spouse, waiting for a long-term care crisis before discussing Medicaid planning, gifting assets, at least gifting assets without the assistance of an experienced elder law attorney. Not seeking the assistance of an elder law attorney would also be a big mistake. Long-term care planning tools, just to name a few: Medicaid asset protection trusts, powers of attorney, advanced directives, other trusts and will-based solutions. Above all, discuss long-term care concerns with an elder law attorney to see which solutions might benefit you. So let's talk about the cost of planning. Obviously, that's a concern for everyone, especially if you're consulting with an attorney. Everybody wants to know what it's going to cost. Um, while Medicaid planning elder law services vary, the costs are typically in the thousands of dollars. Just depends on what we're doing. If we're just doing one deed transfer, that's obviously going to be less expensive than a comprehensive elder law plan that involves trusts, wills, powers of attorney. If we're incorporating a lot of estate planning into the plan, then it can be more expensive. But generally, that's going to be a one-time cost. You pay it, and then you've got that peace of mind. No Medicaid planning. Well, 1 month of private pay at a nursing home in North Carolina is $8,000 to $10,000 per month. So the cost for the Medicaid planning by an attorney is going to be less than 1 month's stay in a nursing home. So it would be foolish to not go ahead and invest now to save that money in the future. Month after month, year after year, paying, those monthly private pay costs $10,000 per month or more for your long-term caring costs, your nursing home costs, if you don't put a plan together. So, the first question you have to ask is, does long-term care Medicaid planning make sense for me or for a loved one? And I think that answer, of course, for most seniors is going to be yes. Then the next question is going to be, how can I get started? You need to act now, and while you're informed and motivated to protect your family. And in May of this year, 2025, you can actually book a free, no obligation consultation with an elder law attorney here at King Law. Get on that path to getting peace of mind, knowing that your assets are going to be protected from long-term care costs. Appreciate your time today, and hope you learned something about Medicaid and long-term care. Again, National Elder Law Month, and we're excited to again to offer this promotion to provide free consultations in May 2025. So please call and take advantage of that today so that we can put you on the path to protecting your assets before it's too late. Thank you for your time, and we hope to hear from you soon.